Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance. All backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Tane Talks. I'm your host Tane, here to talk about couples therapy, season 5, episode 8. As usual with me is Jenn. Hi Jenn, how are you?
Hi, Tane. I am so excited, which is totally on me because this episode was not sad. Like, I feel like we're getting to resolution. I think there's a lot of times in the season where we don't get resolution, and I feel like, okay, we're getting closer to something. So, in a good mood. How about you?
Well, it is the penultimate episode before the finale,
Yes.
so I hope we're getting stuff. I do feel though that it's the same as the most recent episodes where it feels rushed
Hmm.
and we're just going through because I'm like, oh wait, we're done with the episode? Oh, cool. Um, didn't know that. But to your point, I mean, yes, they do have to come to some resolution, and there's only so much we can see because, as we can see in the montage, they start. I mean, this episode they started with a montage, and there's a whole bunch of sessions that we didn't see,
Yeah.
but they had. So, I mean, good for them because at the end of the day, right? It's a TV show, but the most important thing is hopefully these couples are getting what they need out of
Yeah.
this, right? Because, for some, therapy is not cheap. Everyone was always like,
Yeah.
go to therapy, but it's not accessible to everybody. So, if they're able to get this free and the price of freedom is telling everybody your business so we can talk about you and judge you, I don't know if it's a good trade off. I would never do it, but I hope it works out for them, is what I'm trying to say, I guess.
You said the price of freedom. But I think that's a sign of a good episode. I felt like when it got to the end, I was like, oh, it's done. I mean, I knew it was the end because we got to the last couple, but enough happened that I didn't feel like we stalled out. Like the flow was good. I like this episode. It's good. Good job,
I think
editors.
I think what I liked about the episode is I think now we've spent enough time with these people, or maybe there was a shift, but we are seeing everybody's true colors. No one's trying to
Right.
be at their best for Orna. No one's trying to do like, oh, okay, maybe this isn't what everybody is just being honest about what they think and being who they are. And that includes, my faves and her actually just admitting, like, I am the villain because
Mm-hmm.
there's no place to hide anymore. But let's get into it. We start with Clinton and
Yes.
Shay, and they're supposed to be breaking up, but they are actually on that journey right now. We do start with a montage of their sessions, like I mentioned earlier, and Clinton says, "You are special to me because of who you are." And Shay's like, "Well, if I was, why are you seeking other people?" And then another session, she's saying, "He hurt me, and people who hurt me don't deserve to get close to me again." He's saying, "I feel very inadequate when you focus on how I could not contribute financially." He says he and the other person got closer as friends because they're both autistic. So it's something that they have in common. Shay says, like, she's here to understand where he's at and if they can possibly have a friendship. And I'm like, why? I don't understand people, friendships
Right.
after a breakup. Like I
Mm-hmm.
famously talk about it a lot on the podcast. Like, even if there's going to be a friendship, it is not going to be now.
Right. And it's not going
Everything's
to be this,
raw.
and it's not going to be the same, and it's not going to be what you think it is. And I think, especially if you have no resolution, like all of this stuff is still going to come up in your friendship. So us being
Mhm.
friends doesn't absolve hurt feelings. It doesn't absolve, I'm still going to blame you for this. It's not going to be kind of that selfless kind of friendship that you
Mhm.
think it's going to be. So no, I don't see any point to it. I'm literally one of those people that when I break up with somebody, you don't exist anymore. And I think because I'm somebody that, like, when we were together, I gave you every chance, every ounce of energy that I had, and now that we're broken
Mhm.
up, like we're done. Like I have nothing left to give to you. So no, my exes don't exist in my world.
Way to go, Jen. So
I told you, my cold dark heart.
she says that she feels like she's failing therapy and that she's not opening up enough. Orna asks if she asks both of them, like, do you feel that this is useful? He says yes, it is. And Shay's just like, I don't want to do this anymore. So Orna is talking to Virginia and saying that, she feels like they're stuck. Like at this point, they're just getting agitated with each other. And then Virginia says, like in a therapy context, you can't have an amicable breakup because it's not so amicable. Thank you, Virginia.
Ta-da! I love Virginia. I love
do you
Virginia.
do you wonder what it would be like if we had a season of couples therapy, but it was Virginia?
I do kind of, and maybe I wonder if they're teeing us up for that. But like, I just want to see if she's as snarky with the couples as she is like when they're out of session, or if she's like Orna, where she's just even keeled. Like, I just want to see Virginia be like, "Are you serious?"
Like, when you get to a certain age, you just don't care anymore. I think Virginia is just like
Right?
at that point, like, please, like,
Right.
but she's supposed to be neutral. So
Right.
it'll be fun to see how she reacts. So she says that they have a better chance if they separate. And this is Orna to, oh no, this is Virginia to Orna. If they
Yes.
separate, and then she advises, like, she would definitely see them separately. Orna was like, yeah, that's a good idea, but I am not their therapist. And Virginia says, well, as a couples therapist, I have done individual work within their sessions. And she's like, huh, that's not a bad idea. Might try that. So then
Yeah.
we get like a side by side. We get Clinton, then we get Shay, but I'm a human being, so I can't show that visually. So I'll walk you through it. So she tells Clinton, he says he's doing well, and all he wants is for her to take responsibility for why their relationship crumbled the way it did. Orna says, well, it has been difficult for you to really own what happened with these other people that you got involved with. And I don't think like you took it seriously how it affected Shay. He says it doesn't make any sense to him how it affected her because she's the one who opened the relationship, and he's kind of scoffing at the whole thing.
Yes.
Do
I
you
kind of go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, I was going to say, do you feel like this season it was obvious whose side Orna was on for certain couples? Because I feel that way.
For certain couples, yes. I
Okay.
think that she, especially like with Marjorie and Jason, like she definitely was
Mm-hmm.
on Marjorie's side for whatever reason. And I think for this one, I don't know if she was trying to be more sensitive to Clinton, and it kind of felt like she was on his side in that way because I don't know if she was just out of her depth with his autism. But yeah, for certain couples, I do feel like she was on one side or the other. And I don't know, with Clinton, I liked that he wasn't as jittery here, like him having his own session where he got to say what he wanted to say, and he wasn't so like combative. And I think that's what we needed to see. Like, you away from her is a totally different person, but also you are not taking responsibility for what you're doing. Even her opening the relationship has nothing to do with the fact that you lied to her. And I think I like that she confronted them separately.
Mm-hmm.
So in their individual sessions, she challenged them both on their thoughts, which I really liked. And I'm glad we got to see
Yeah, she challenged them both, but I actually think she's on Shay's side um,
that.
with this. And I think what Clinton was getting at, like, not saying is right, but in his brain was like, it's that control thing that he feels like even if he had told her, I think he feels like it's all hypothetical because we'll never know. He feels like she'll still be upset because the bottom line is we don't have enough information. But my projection also is like when you open the relationship, she's like, I'm going to get something out of it, but he's not
Hmm.
because he's dependent
Yeah.
on me. But then when
Right.
he's beginning to be free, she's like, what the hell? What is happening right now? So I think maybe that's what he was getting at. But I mean, he still lied, even if it's by omission. But yeah.
Big lies, repeated
Yeah.
lies. Even it lied until he was caught. Lied until he had to read his own words. Was like, oh yeah, I did say that. My bad.
So for Shay's part, she says like she's mad, like he just moved on so easy and found a new relationship. So again, besides the hurt, I'm all like, are you hurt because you loved him, or are you hurt because of your ego?
Both, and
Cause
both
yeah.
both things can be true. I think both. I think the idea of you were like I supported you, so you were supposed to be grateful for all of that I
Mm-hmm.
was giving to you, but also at the same time, you said these big things to me about how, because I remember at the beginning she was like, I'm his only source of anything. And
Mm-hmm.
so for her to be like, oh, you're my only source of anything, but then quickly jumped when something else came your way is probably super painful for her. So I felt bad for Shay in this episode. I really did.
Yeah, I do, but that it goes back to, and you know what's the funny part? This is what we were talking about the last episode, where I was saying like, would she take responsibility for the part that she played in their relationship? Nobody's saying like it's her fault, but also that part
Hmm.
of because she did go into this thinking like, okay, if he's indebted to me, I'm trying something different. This should work. This should stick.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
don't like even going into that, having that expectations like since he's solely depending on me, I saved him from, his mom. And in a
Right.
way, it's kind of similar to Nessa and Drea. Like if I'm the savior and I'm the villain at the same time, and you just think that that person owes you this
Hmm.
love that you're
Hmm.
looking for. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
anyways. So she
And that
says, oh, go
and
ahead.
that and that was a similar thing between the two of them separately, and they said it in different ways, but they both said, I just want the other person to take responsibility for their part in the relationship failing. And they both said it separately and differently. And I wish, and maybe we'll see that in the next episode, that and maybe Orna was trying to get there with calling them out on their behaviors. But yeah, they both want the same thing. They both want the other person to sincerely, without being prompted, say, "This is what I did wrong."
Yeah. So yes, she says, I don't mind being the person that caused harm in our relationship, but like, where's your part? So basically what
Yeah.
Jen just said, that she wants him to also take responsibility. But I do feel that is a person who bastardizes apologies. He's very quick to say, I see that, I'm sorry. I see that, I'm sorry. But then he does the same thing over and over again. But I don't know that I can say the same for Shay. Shay will argue to the death that nope, it was from I have good intentions, so no,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that's not what I did, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So she says that he flip flops from saying that she's the person who cared so viscerally for him to this person who never acknowledged his feelings. And Orna is like, yeah, he does not say that. Like, that's your
Right.
interpretation. But he did not say
Perfect.
you don't acknowledge his feelings. What he does say is you don't acknowledge your feelings. I'm like, oh,
Perfect. Yeah. That's
oh,
what she needed to hear. She needed that mirror. And again, that's the ideal situation in a therapy session where somebody gets to be a mirror for you when you're not able to see it. So
yeah.
perfect. Perfect.
Um, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but Orna doesn't take notes during a session.
It
And
would be impossible.
I had a therapist who didn't take notes and it drove me nuts. I'm like, do you remember anything? Like, do you know who I am? Hi, tell me, prove to me that you know who I am. But I'm like, wow, like how does that work? But I think you know how people say, oh, Disney created fairy tales and unrealistic expectations. I'm like, why do I expect them to take notes? Is that because that's what I saw on TV? Like, I don't. Who made that rule? I guess. So
Maybe, and I think maybe, and to that point, or to your point, you would think that, oh, there's no way you're remembering everything about every person that you're hearing, and I don't know if that's the goal, is to remember
yeah,
every little piece of minutia. I think the goal is for them to listen for patterns, and I
yeah.
don't know if I would be so distracted by writing that I would miss that. So yeah, but I could see how that would be annoying. But yeah, I think in TV a lot we see the person writing, but also they don't say a lot. They're like, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Okay.
and that
How
would drive
how
me bananas.
how did that make you feel? You tell
Right,
me.
right, exactly, exactly. Did you ever watch Insecure?
Yes.
So there was one where when Molly was going to therapy and her therapist was real kind of not confrontational with her, but she challenged her. I'm like, I want that therapist. Sign me up for that lady. That's what I need.
Mm-mm, I don't want that. Like life is already hard. Like please be gentle. I'm all for that. Okay, so Orna says like she tells Shay, she's still in her session with Shay and saying like, can you admit that you actually let him off the hook that by being so righteous and gracious with him? And I think I wrote down, huh? I don't think she let him off the hook. Like, what am I missing?
I think she meant that he gets to get by without consequences because you're being so righteous. You know what I mean? Like you're taking the because he's wrong. He's absolutely wrong, but because she's being so righteous that becomes the focus of the issue versus him being wrong. That's how I took it.
How is she being righteous? I guess is where I'm lost.
I think it's all the times where she would interrupt and be like, uh, you bring this to my table and I've done this for you and da 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 da. Like you get so focused on what you did that it overshadows what he did. That's how I took it. And I'm not explaining it well, but
Okay.
it did make sense to me in the moment.
Okay. It didn't to me. I was just like, I don't think she's being righteous. I don't think she's letting him get away with anything. Like she hasn't been even killed. She has yelled at him and she has made it very clear how she feels. But she tells them both that it will be good for both of them to take a break from each other and they have a few options. They can say a nice goodbye or for the three of them to sit together one more time in the next few weeks. I'm like, Orna, that's two. That's not a few options. That's
Yeah.
two options. They both agree. I mean, instead of Shay to just say, I'll take the latter or I'll take for three of us, she's like, I'm okay with the secondary. I was like, okay. So
That's dramatic.
Clinton says, I think that would be okay too. So they both agree that they're all going to meet together for the finale. They didn't say that, but it's the finale. And Orna says, people have romantic fantasies that therapy will make them go back to the honeymoon phase, but they usually get bruised because they are confronting their partner with difficult material.
Yeah, I don't know
So,
anybody who. Well, I guess you think that things are going to get better, but they have to get worse before they get better. So
yeah. But I think it's the way people talk about it. Like, anything happens, just go to therapy. And then just go, but there's
mhm,
work involved in that. It's not just a
mhm.
wand. So,
And also,
all right.
it's also you admitting the things that you've done wrong. It's not just going into therapy and the therapist goes, "Yep, your partner sucks. You're awesome." No, you have to confront the stuff that you've done wrong too.
Yeah. Okay. We'll take our first break and we'll be right back. Okay. We're back with Jen's favorite couple, Chris and Sienna. And they're sitting in the hallway, hand holding, sitting together, holding their hands. They get into therapy, and Sienna's like, she woke up with a bad headache and just started spinning and says that she thinks that she resents the fact that she was dimming herself to keep the peace. I'm just gonna prep y'all. Like, this was a whole different Sienna. I had to be like, I didn't miss an episode, right? Because this is not the warm, fuzzy, it's okay, honey. Let me rub your head, put your head on my lap. This
Mhm.
is the fuck you, Chris, like for real, Sienna
So, so,
that we
so
got.
this is the version I love. I was like, go. I don't like your top. Your top is really distracting to me. But yes, go do this.
So she says, like, I've been dimming myself to keep the peace, and 14 years and some later, I don't know who I am without you. I don't know where my skin ends, where yours start. And now I'm curious what life would be like if I'm not with you. I'm like, okay, Nessa. No, it's Sienna.
Maybe the couples are the couples talking to each other? Like, are they hanging out? They're like, all right, say this. This works for me. That's
I
awesome.
mean, we need to introduce that. They need to make them have like a dinner party and then talk about it and then just see that, or have like a one last episode how old maths used to be for the
That's what
reunion. They didn't meet each other all season long. Then at the reunion, they meet each other and then they see all the things and like, oh, I'm not that bad. But yeah.
yeah. I was gonna say
Well,
that's the thing we hate about MAVs is the stuff I want for couples therapy. I want them to spend time together. I want to see these 4 couples at a dinner. It would be a hot mess.
I would love to see
Oh,
that. I would
that would be
love
awesome.
to see Jason with like
Mm,
Drea.
or
Because he's gonna
Nessa.
be like, well, Trump's not doing anything that bad. And
Mm,
Drea's like, the fuck? What do you mean?
right? Right?
But anyways, so she doesn't know if a separation is the thing that she needs. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. This show is giving me whiplash. Like we're getting places, but I feel like I'm blacking out and missing something because how the heck did we get to separation? And she says it so casually that I wasn't sure that's what I heard also. So Orna says, yeah, let's not rush to external fixes yet. Like, slow down. Let's see what's going on first. And she asked Chris, how are you feeling? And I think again, that's one thing I do like about Orna this season, like not the season in general. She always asks the other person, when you heard this, like, how are you feeling? Like a temperature check
Right.
of that. And he said, honestly, I appreciate that she felt the feeling versus burying it, because from what we've heard, she disassociates and is like choosing joy. And because I'm going to confess, like, I'm one of those people back in the day, I used to type like, choose joy people annoy me. Like, I'm choosing joy. Whoa, happiness is a choice. Yay. Like,
Toxic positivity.
there you go. Stop it. I mean, do it if it helps you, but me, stop it. so, so Orna says, um, she said resentments. Like, can she speak more about what she feels about resentment? And it's always funny to me when Orna asks a question and I'm still like, what does that mean, huh? But they
Yeah.
understand what she's saying. And Sienna is very clear about what she feels, and I really appreciate that. And she's like, well, I feel really angry. I feel angry that I had to find out. It's not like he told me, I had to find out. And I find out all these things in therapy. And now I have to manage all this pain. But
Yeah.
for him, it's like, whew, got this off my chest. I feel so much better. And for her, she hates that. She fucking hates that. I fucking hate that so much. Like, she was mad, guys. She was really mad.
And she should have been, I think, and I don't know if you caught this. Did the cuddle thing go on for 2 years before she found out? That's what
Yes,
I
that was
wrote in my
my,
notes.
yeah, that's my next line.
Okay, I was like,
Yeah.
what? Go ahead, go.
Yeah. She was like, it must be so nice to fuck people for 2 years, get found out, and be like, whew, it's all found out and I'm free and it's out. And then that's it. And then you get to get it all out. And then what am I supposed to do with that? I'm in my house. I'm like, finally, Sienna, welcome to the party. Thank you for
2
feeling things.
years that went on.
Yeah.
2, and
That's a choice.
that's beyond a choice. That is active. I'm actively doing this for 2 years. And how much did she find once she found that out? Yeah, you're not laying in my lap after that, sir.
Jenn
Uh-uh.
is like, validation.
Yeah, I would cut all of your hair off. No.
I think the question is, if she did not find out, would he have continued? Did he stop just because of that? Is he still having urges because of that? Because if the whole thing of why he did that was because he felt not good enough, or the reason that he's given, he has to be feeling that now, because now she's mad. Now she really knows. Like back then, it was a you thing where you just didn't feel good enough, but now she's really pissed off at you and maybe actually does now feel like she deserves better. So if you have that feeling now, are you having urges to go cuddle, aka fuck other people?
Yeah. And was this a self-fulfilling prophecy? Were you like, oh, well, if I do this, she's going to leave me. Oh, look, she's going to leave. She left me. I deserve this. Or there's a part of him that's probably turned on by her being angry. I don't know. He's a complicated dude, but he did handle himself well in this episode. I was waiting for him
Yes.
turn this around on him, but I'm proud of him for giving her the space to feel what she felt.
Yeah, I want to believe that he's actually like contrite, but you cannot vouch for anybody. Like at the end of the day, you're still a man who did what you did to her. So
For 2
so
years.
she says he can free himself of it, but she can't because now, once again, she has this deep fucking anger. Like again, guys, she mad.
Yep.
She says she also wonders if she stops adapting herself, she doesn't think that they would be together. And she has rage and she can't hold it in, but she doesn't want to bring the rage to their marriage because she loves him and she loves their family. And are you feeling? He's all like, I'm all for it. Like she's just, going, expressing her feelings and he would rather that. And he says, like, of course, both of them can't go into a room going ape shit for like 30 minutes. It's probably not the best course of action. They're all laughing. He laughs. She laughs. I'm thinking, yeah, you can. They're rage rooms. They do that all the time in all these reality TV shows. Then Orna is like, oh, that's an interesting fantasy. And he says, oh, yeah, it's a callback to past therapy sessions. Once again, I'm lost. I don't understand what is happening or what they're talking about. And then Sienna just switches. She was laughing and then she just switches and is like, call back to what? And he's like, the whole therapy process and the history? Me, still lost. I don't know what they're talking about. And then she goes, huh, interesting terminology that you chose. Are you not going to address that? I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? I don't know what's happening. And then he
Yeah, that
goes,
lost me.
ape shit? And then she goes, yeah, the angry black woman trope. I'm like, oh,
Lost. Lost.
I don't, yeah, like,
Lost.
I don't know if this is editing or how we got here or if she's just mad at him, but I was like, wait, what? Then Orna, I don't know, Orna doesn't take it the way she takes it, or maybe I'm misinterpreting because Orna is like, well, maybe the angry black woman doesn't allow herself to be the angry black woman. I'm like, is that the right response? What? I'm
Yeah.
lost, is what I'm
So,
trying to say.
agreed. I was like, wait, what's happening here? And I don't know, and we don't see it often. So how many times this has happened in the course of the relationship where he said something and she took it as from a racial perspective that this is something that's against me as a black woman. So I think it came out of the blue because we've never heard it before.
Yes, I think what I wrote down was like, I wasn't expecting this, but also it's the first time we see her identifying as black. I don't,
Yeah.
you can't tell people what to identify as. And when you see her, because even when we started the season, we both had different, observation of what she was, like different things. She's not, would you say she's in?
You guys know I love to read, and I sometimes share in some episodes what I'm currently reading. Every now and then, I challenge myself to read something outside of my usual genre, and that book for me now is House of Rain by Harley LaRue. It's a gothic romance novel that follows Salem, who ends up stranded on a remote island instead of going on her honeymoon. There she meets the mysterious Rain, whose family manor is filled with unsettling secrets. Then people start dying, something begins stalking the forest at night, and what starts as a forbidding attraction turns into a fight for survival. With the isolated island, gothic mansions, and the creeping sense that something terrible is always just out of sight, I was intrigued and creeped out. If you're a fan of supernatural suspense and dark romance with an unforgettable atmosphere, check out House of Rain by Harley LaRue, now available wherever books are sold in print and in ebook.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
Racially ambiguous physically.
Yeah, I would say, especially when they showed the pictures of her with her hair straightened. I
Yeah.
wouldn't. I would think she was a white woman with her hair straightened. I think
Yeah, she's
the only thing give me is like, oh, she's racially something is the coiliness of her hair. But yeah, other
yeah.
than that, no.
Yes, she's white passing.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
and also, I'm not going to get over it. All I know is when they asked her what she was, she said her dad is black and her mom is Danish. I can't get over it. Um, so I'm just like, and then she's never talked about, even when she talked about her struggles as a child or anything, she said, oh, I was overweight, but she never said anything about, oh, I was biracial, or like, she just hasn't talked about race. So coming now and then saying that, it's like we have to adjust because, oh, that's a thing that is a thing for you. But she does say now, being in the professional world, so many times she witnesses this and she feels like she's small in all her identities, and basically she has to make herself small when things like that happen, and she feels like she just wants to break it all down and she wants to break them all down. And I'm guessing the silent part is build them back up brick by brick, even though she asked for a separation. So I don't know. Maybe I'm reading it wrong too. So he says, I can't imagine what she is feeling. He just wants to be there to help her through it. He says, you can trust. He was like, okay, I know you can't necessarily trust, but please trust me that this is not going to happen again. And that was it. And then we see her in the library for them.
Looking beautiful, by the way. I was like, whatever that
Sure
shirt is
did.
you had in therapy, please take it off. This is your lane. This long leather skirt, this is your lane. But yeah, I think what I was feeling from all of her work talk was now that because she's been out of the workforce for a real long time, right? And
Mhm.
so now she's back in it and realizing like, oh, there's all of these racial implications, not only being, and I don't know what she does, but being a
Yeah.
woman, but also being a woman of color, being even perceived as being a woman of color. Like
Yeah.
she's probably got a code switch in some places. So she's got all this frustration at work, and then she's got come home and has all this anger and frustration at home. Like she doesn't have any peace. So I can see why we're seeing now a much more frustrated, less kind of like woo woo woo, less joy version of Sienna, is because she's
Yeah.
getting it from multiple places.
And Orna's work is probably working.
Oh, that too.
And she's
That too.
actually feeling the feels, because that's the one thing we got from Chris, because he's not like, oh my god, I don't know where all this anger is coming from. He's just like, you know
Right.
what, I will take you feeling and actually processing it than what we've been going through. So, and to your point that he handled it well, I do think he did, because there's a case where, god, if it was Jason, oh, well, I don't know where this is coming from. She was
Right.
fine. If she never found out, everything would have been great. But now that she did, but Chris is just like, you know what? I'm wrong. I am wrong till forever. But also part of it is like Chris' default is self-flagellation. He just
Mm,
wants to punish himself, and he's like, finally, she's mad at me. Finally,
right.
she can punish me. So it's complicated, man.
Yeah.
These two, I gotta say, I'm not gonna say just him, because I think Sienna's has been covered in Rainbows and Sunshine for so long,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and addressing this for the first time as an adult, there's a lot. She's gonna play a lot of catch up.
Yeah. And it's not
Yeah,
only what's happening between the two of them, it's also her kind of addressing this rape that she's been
yeah,
pushing down for so long, this very violent rape. And so, yeah, she's going through a lot. A lot's coming out. And I do have to give him credit for not turning this, because I was waiting for him to be like, well, this happened to me too. And my life was hard too. Like, I'm so proud of him. And, I don't like him, for him to like give her the space to be angry. And then at the end to ask, like, I'm not going to demand forgiveness. I'm going to ask for it. So,
yeah.
yeah, we got a gold star Orna for putting a change in Chris over there.
Jen is like, I'm not giving Chris credit, it's or not.
Yeah, you get no credit.
All right, take another break and we'll be right back. All right, Marjorie and Jason. We start with them watching TV at home, and he's like rubbing his arm, and they have like a picture ornament, a picture of them, and with a little caption of "Our love is a once in a lifetime love." And I'm like, okay. Virginia says Marjorie has acknowledged that she knows that she shouldn't be mean. And Orna was like, yeah, like she's really changed. Like she hasn't said any mean thing at all. I'm like, okay. We missed
Yeah,
that.
we must have zoomed into the future because literally last week she said all the mean things. Like, did we forget that last week she was on her mother's side and putting
Yeah.
everybody before Jason? So we must have zoomed forward into the future. It's something changed, and I wish we knew what it was. But I guess I'm just happy to see Marge, which when they flash to something in their lives and it's like Marge and Jason, I'm like, who wants to be called Marge? Um, yeah, I'm glad that whatever they needed to get over to make her less mean, they got there.
Mhm.
Hooray.
Yeah, Orna is like something softened between them. I'm like, we don't know, but I'm glad you know. She gets she's like she gets pissed off at him, but she finds her way back to find the good in him. I'm like, okay, are we talking about Marjorie and Jason now at this point?
Right?
But okay. So now we're in therapy. Marjorie says she feels really good, like she's so in love with him, but he doesn't necessarily do the same. Actually, I was going to ask you, Jason looks not gaunt because I know he's losing weight. He looks haggard. I think that's the word. He's growing a beard, so he's scruffy, I guess. And he also just kind of looked checked out in this session to me.
I mean, he's married to Marjorie. Like, how do you want the man to look?
The man is not perfect. The man
Yeah,
is not perfect, but
he is
yeah.
going through some stuff at home and also losing weight. Like he looked they flashed to him in the gym later, and so he looked fairly healthy there, but yeah, maybe it's the hat. I don't know. But yeah, he definitely looked less not combative and not beaten down, but he looked less in this episode.
Yeah. Okay. So he says she's like he says I love you, but oh, okay, let me go back. She's just like, oh, I'm just so in love with him, there's a turn and blah blah blah, but he doesn't necessarily express it. That he doesn't really say. He says I love you, I know he loves me, but he's not very verbal about loving stuff and things like that. And then Orna turns to him and is like, that might be a fun experiment, like maybe you try that. And he's like, yeah, yeah. So that's what I mean by just checked out. He's like, are we done yet? So then
I I
Marge,
I
oh.
I took that as like I can't trust this because she's going to be nice to me for 5 minutes, and then a rash of shit is going to come in the next 5 minutes. So I didn't take it as him being checked out. I took it as him being like, yeah, this is temporary. Like whatever she's happy about, I have to wait because something she's unhappy about is coming. So that was the sense I got from him, was not checked out, but just like cautious.
I mean, I think that's fair. Like they don't trust each other. Again,
Right.
I don't know if they like each other fundamentally. But Marge says like she's not complaining, like she's just saying that she has extra love for him. And he says like, "Okay, thanks. I don't know what I did to turn that around for you." So I'm like, is that even really true if he doesn't even notice that she has
Right.
extra love for him, or is he just really again checked out that he's just like, "Oh yeah, you've been nice to me, sure, whatever." And then she was like, you know why? He's like, I don't. If I did, I would say, she's like, of course, there's no way you don't know. I'm like, ma'am, he doesn't know. Tell him. Because I
Also,
don't know
yeah.
who's telling the truth or not at this point. So she's like, yeah, we've been having sex more often, but it's not like we don't talk about that at the same time that he says that's embarrassing. And I'm like, this man doesn't want to be here. And she's like, yeah, that we don't talk about stuff like that. We don't talk about it. And he's like, why are you saying that? I'm like, what is embarrassing about having sex with your wife? I don't know. People are
Also, yeah,
people.
you guys are not 12 years old. You can talk about everything else under the sun. You can't talk about having sex with your wife. And I would think that that would make him happier. If this was Drea, this would make her happier. Like your
Yeah.
partner, and I don't know if it's just that she's initiating it more and he's just kind of laying there and letting it happen, but there's something about this sex that is not like not connecting with him, but I don't think he's connecting it with increased love. And again, because he doesn't know where it's coming from, he can't trust that it's not temporary. So I again, I'm not trying to be a Jason apologist, but I could see why if a dog is beaten and beaten and beaten and you give it a treat, like it's not going to be grateful for the treat. It's waiting for the next beating.
Then he should have just said that. But for
I
him,
don't
like
I don't think
just
he
be like,
can. I don't think he's got the words and the words for that. He just knows
"Huh?
something weird is happening.
Okay. So Orna was like, okay, that's great. That's good. But what are we noticing about listening to each other? Because at the very beginning, that was the first thing that she identified is that they don't listen to each other. She says there's a difference in how they talk to each other. And she used to get so mad. And he says he used to be so rejected. But now she'd be like, I understand. Your points are valid. So, okay, they're going in the right direction. He says like he listened and he hears her about the politics stuff, but now he just got out. Like he doesn't watch the news, he doesn't watch any of that, so they don't fight. I'm like, is that smart? So you want to be less informed? You know what? That's smart because your information is biased anyways. So Orna says like, okay, I want to revisit this later. But Marjorie's like, yeah, I know you said you want to revisit this, but whenever I tell him anything political, he'll automatically, doesn't matter what I say, he'll automatically have the opposite reaction. He says, well, when she says something political, I just know that I see it as the seed, and just like that she just has hate for Trump and his administration. I'm like, well, March
Yeah.
says that's not the main thing that matters to her, because Orna is like, what's the main thing that matters to you? It's just the hate that comes with the administration. And then Orna tells Jason that you don't have to agree with her, but why don't you try to understand where she's coming from? And he's like, yeah, I try. But she's like, yeah, you have to try, but you have to separate your agenda when you listen to her. And she says that what matters to her is that the actions of the administration are hurting the American people and we're basically fighting each other. Honor is like, okay, Jason, she's talking and you're already shaking your head. And he's like, yeah,
Yep.
because she's full of shit. And I'm like, oh my God. Orna, which
Right.
softer? What were you seeing? We don't see it because they don't trust each other. They just want to fight each other. And he's like, it's all Trump derangement syndrome. I'm like, what?
That
And
is not
so
real. Shut up.
So yeah, Orna, you got to try harder. I'm not sure how you think things are better. I don't see it. Orna says, "Okay, this tells me we haven't gotten very far in our work." And I'm like,
Yep.
"Yeah." So she's like, "So let's try again." And then I'm reminded, like we've been so caught up in Marjorie, and all of the stuff that I'm like, maybe this is why her kids don't like him. And if that's the case, it's hard to argue that, no matter what else.
I agree, but I don't think it's the only thing.
Hmm. Okay. I mean, it'll color everything. Because if you
For
go there and
sure.
he's saying other stupid things, so everything else he says is like, please don't talk to me. You know. So, anyways,
For sure.
so she says, I am scared of what is happening because I see it, and we are not the ones who are American citizens being detained by ICE, and it keeps me up at night and it breaks my heart. Orna says, what are you hearing? Like, interpret what you are hearing, not what do you agree with, but what are you hearing? He says he apologizes because he loves her. He doesn't want her to feel that way. And he does repeat, what she said. Honor says, okay, you say yours. And he's like, yeah, I'm still happy I voted for Trump. And I'm still hopeful that things are going to get better. Like we're headed right in the right direction in some areas and we're taking steps back in some way. I have hope. I have hope. I have hope. He says it multiple times. And I'm just like, fuck this guy. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. um, I just, listen. You can support what you want to, but just because you have hope doesn't mean like there's hope for everyone. Because she's giving a very specific example that I feel like he's not even like addressing,
Right.
because she says Marge is like, maybe no, Orna tells her to talk about something that's happening, not exactly the administration, just what's happening. Oh, sorry, that was Marjorie's suggestion. She's like, okay, I'm not going to talk about the administration, I'm just going to talk about specific things that are happening. And he says like, yeah, I hear you about being detained is horrific because I have been detained. And I'll say like, if they're in the wrong, then it's totally wrong. And I'm just like, what is wrong with you, Jason? Like, how are you equating that with that? This is like, what is a good example? You know how for sure the way the administration does not treat an immigrant who's coming from maybe the continent of Africa or coming from a South American state or the Middle East to an immigrant coming from, where, pick one. the Netherlands. It's not the same
Mm,
thing.
yeah. No. No.
So why are you comparing it to people who are being caged, who are being left to die? Again, it's horrific for you to be detained unjustly. Like, yes, it is a thing, but don't do that. But I too have been to,
Hmm.
let's focus. Let's
Yeah.
focus on what's been. You're here on the couch with me now. Some of these people don't even get to come out, and some of them die in
Well,
these things. So,
that's the and that's it's that whole like white privilege thing when people are like, I'm not privileged because I'm white, I'm poor. Like, it's like that's not what that means.
important.
And you've got to some people have to like put themselves in the situation in order to justify horrendous things happening. Like you have to say, "Oh yeah, being detained sucks. I've been detained." But that's not what that means. That's not you did something wrong. And that's why you were detained. We're talking about people that have done nothing wrong and are being removed from their families and being treated poorly. Like it's not the same thing. But in
Yeah.
order to justify these horrendous things happening, they have to put themselves in that spot and go, "No, no, bad things happen to me too." It's not the same thing. And that's why this is so frustrating getting through to people that don't understand this. It's like just because something bad happened to you and you survived it or you somehow got out of it, it's not the same situation as what's happening to other people. And until you can separate yourself and use your human part of your side and use your empathy and scan back, you're not going to see that. And it takes so much and it's so much effort and energy. And I applaud Marjorie for being like, okay, if you think my hate for this person is the reason why I'm frustrated, let's step back and we'll take that out. Let me talk about specific things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he was able to relate to it a little bit, but then you have to justify, oh, I'm totally wrong about this. So I have to just sit on hope that things are going to get better. They're not going to get better on their own, and they're not going to get better with people like you, Jason, just sitting back waiting for things to get better. They're not going to get better. They're going to get 1,000 times worse unless you do something.
I don't even think he understood because he used, when people apologize and they're like, I'm sorry if I
If,
hurt you.
yep,
He
yep.
said, if this person really is
Mm-hmm,
innocent, like,
mm-hmm,
come on. What
yeah,
is this is a well actually, so no. No, no, no,
mm-hmm,
no, no, no. And I don't know. So Marjorie is like, okay, I hear him, I see him, but at the back of my mind, I'm just like, will he ever admit that he shouldn't have voted that way? And Orna is like, I think the real question you're asking is, can I trust you?
yes.
And I'm like, ding, ding. And
That was it.
unfortunately, that's where it ended. That's it. I just, if it keeps her up at night, it gives her that much anxiety. I don't know how she's able to lay with him. And that is where the further discussion comes in,
Mm-hmm,
where Marjorie is, it's not virtue signaling, but it's like, oh, I worry, I do. At the end of the day, you're laying with someone who drastically does not share the same sentiment as you do. So, how much of an ally are you?
mm, yeah. And trust is the
So,
thing. Orna had bars this episode, and that's it. It's like, I can't trust you. If this is how you feel about people that may or may not look like me, how do you feel about people that do look like me? And I don't, how do I trust that? And that's scary. And yeah, to your point, how do I lay with you when you're actively supporting things that are against me, the person that you say you love? It's against me, it's against your daughter, it's against people that you know and love, and you're still like, I hope it gets better. That's scary.
yeah. Okay. They saved the best for last with Drea and Nessa. We see the peer advisory talking about there's something painful about a pattern, and they're asking Drea to differentiate is asking her to do something that she cannot do. That maybe they're asking her something to do that she cannot do. And we're back in therapy. They walk in, they sit down. Nessa asks Drea, "Are you okay?" And she goes, "Yeah, I'm okay." Nessa feels they go into therapy, and Nessa's like, "I feel like Drea is in a mood, and I'm trying to balance what it is, but I'm also curious to know what it is that's putting her in a mood." And Orna asks Drea what's going on, and Drea says, "I think that we have plateaued, and I'm just trying to move on as gracefully as I can." that the more she mourns the relationship, the easier it will be to transition to co-parenting. I'm like, good on you, Drea, because she does deserve to be fully loved and not put down by her partner. Orna says that she has changed, and Drea's like, yep, I have changed. Yes, I have. So Nessa says the friend in her is proud of her, but hoping she's not saying that for her being Orna. And the relationship is like, damn, I'm willing to throw away someone who worships the ground I walk on, and that's kind of scary. I kind of feel like I was annoyed by with Nessa
Yes.
with this, because
Yes.
you're practically saying, sure, so you say, but we know you have a pattern. She's kind of hoping and relying that that pattern will show up again.
I mean, I was annoyed with Nessa when they walked into the room because clearly when they were out in the lobby, like there was clearly something wrong with Drea. And she's like, "Are you okay?" And Drea's like, "Uh-huh." You can, if you look at her, she's not okay. But Nessa goes, "All right," and goes back to her phone. Like, you're so checked out of this. Like, and finally Drea's like, "All right, I'm meeting you where you are. You're checked out. I'm gonna check out too." And now she seems offended and she seems like, "Oh, why am I throwing this away? And it's not a waste." And da 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 da. I'm like, I can't be on your side here. You're getting what you want, so shut up.
Drea does say like Nessa doesn't think like I have the capacity to separate myself from this union, but I think I can. I'm like, you good girl.
Yes, I
And
was so happy for her.
Nessa says, again, Nessa is like, well, if it is true, then I'm happy for her. I'm like, what is with the passive aggressive statement? Like,
Right?
you're so mean to this woman. And Arna says, um, no, you. Like, what are you thinking? And Drea is still moving Nessa's hair to the side. And I'm like, oh God, maybe
Yeah.
Nessa's right. Maybe she knows more than we know. And she says, like, there's a change in her life and she has to figure it out. And it's scary, but it's exciting. And then she starts crying. She says she would love to feel comfortable in this situation, but she doesn't. And on top of her vague ambiguity, she has to feel responsible for uprooting Drea's life, and she's the bad guy. Her voice is raised at this point. She's like, raised an octave, not like yelling, but it's raised. And like it's so confusing for her, and it doesn't feel good, but it does feel good at the same time. And I'm like, Nessa, please, I beg thee, stop. Like, figure out
Yeah.
what the fuck you feel. And let's use that point of reference and figure out something. This is so unfair to do to Drea.
Yeah.
She's mourning the relationship. Don't come here with I feel bad and then I'm removing her this, but it doesn't feel good. But oh, you know what? It does feel good. But I just want pick a lane.
You can't have it both ways. You can't, you're not going to come out of this clean. You're not going to come out of this feeling like I did the right thing. Like, if you're going to do this, do this. And going to therapy was one way to make sure that Drea was going to come out of this hole, but you're not responsible for making her feel whole. Focus on yourself. Like, this is what you wanted. You wanted, when she said, "I didn't ask for any of this," I said, "What? You absolutely asked for this every week. So
Mm.
you have what you want. Stop making Drea care for you. You care for you. You deal with what you've created."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
But it's the same thing. When they asked her, when you have your own life, what would you do? Oh, I don't know yet. Oh, I don't know yet. Like, figure it out. Because it has to
Yep.
mean, because in some, I don't know if Drea feels that way, but it has to mean something. Like, maybe if Drea's like, you know what, if she found her happiness and she found what she's actually looking for, then it was worth all of this. But if you're still going out there, you're single, you're uprooted her life, and you still don't know what's going on, oh gosh, that's a mess. A
Mm-hmm.
mess.
Mm-hmm.
So, Andrea says, because Orna asks Drea, does that make sense to you? And she goes, yeah, it makes sense to her. And I'm like, well, I'm glad it does to you. And she says there's something about being the villain and the savior for Nessa. And Nessa's like, yes, she's spot on with that. Like, it goes hand in hand. Andrea says she doesn't think that she's the villain. They're just two people who have evolved. And I'm like, don't try to make her feel better, but I mean, I guess. Um,
Well, and wasn't that like a callback to their first episode where didn't Nessa say something about Drea not evolving? And Drea was like, I don't think I like that word. And so for her to use
Mm-hmm.
it again at the end, I was like, yes, take your power back, girl.
Well, at least thank God the Nessa
Yes.
wasn't like, well, I wouldn't say she's really evolved because gosh.
Yeah.
So at
She
the
would
end,
have.
we just see them all doing different things. That's all the couples. We see Jason at the gym. Who else did we see? Oh, we see Shay at home. We see Clinton just taking a walk. We see Marge just walking the dogs. And we see Sienna reading a book. We see Chris with his daughter. And, just that. Just cutesy stuff. And
Is
then,
this where we saw Jason and Marjorie? I can't call her Marge. Jason and Marjorie at the trampoline park with their kid,
oh,
where they were
I do.
they were jumping on the trampoline, and I was like, oh, look at Jason, you little gymnast, you're limber. All right.
I think that was before their segment.
Was it
Oh no,
earlier?
that was TV. So I don't know. Maybe it was.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's it. That's it for the episode, and then all things come to a close next episode, and we'll be talking about the finale. But before we go, Jen, can you share with people where they can find you?
Yes, you can find me and my husband, our old butts traipsing around the world. Right now, we're in Bali, and so you can follow our adventures on jns.adventures on Instagram and YouTube.
Nice. You know where to find me, guys. It is Teen Talks on all over social. Please give me a 5-star rating. I know it could be a pain, but it really helps the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Stay subscribed so you don't miss out on any new episodes. Until next time, guys. Bye.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Orna comes in. Orna actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Orna goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Orna gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.